Hi, I'm Jared, and today I want to tell you about an excellent new book called You Dreamed of Empires by Álvaro Enrigue. You Dreamed of Empires is a new novel published in 2024, translated into English from Spanish by Natasha Wimmer and published by Riverhead Books. It's already gotten a lot of really positive attention. There was a great review in the New York Times and in a number of other newspapers and publications. So there's a lot of buzz around this novel, and I think you'll be hearing about it throughout the rest of the year. You Dreamed of Empires is historical fiction, and it tells the story of the first encounter between Hernán Cortes and his Spanish conquistador captains and Moctezuma and the Aztec imperial court, all centered around Tenoxtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire and what is now, today, Mexico City. Now, the brilliance of Enrique in this book is that he takes these characters who have become kind of mythological historical icons and paints pictures of them in comically and painfully human terms throughout the course of the story, which I just found to be brilliant, taking these figures who were larger than life and making them almost relatable. The book and the story focuses on the first day after the arrival of the Spaniards into Tenochtitlan and all of the foibles and intrigue and confusion that ensues. Enrique makes the monumental floating city of Tenochtitlan one of the main characters of the book, and this is one of the things that I loved most about reading this novel, was just how vibrantly Tenochtitlan comes to life page after page. Enrique had been fascinated by the history of Tenochtitlan since childhood, and through extensive research, he was able to render this spectacular Mesoamerican metropolis into detailed reality. So the narrative of the novel swirls around the political, interpersonal, and familial dynamics that are kicked off when Cortes and his crew bumble their way into Tenochtitlan, a city that was on a scale more splendid than anything that they had seen before in Spain or anywhere in Europe. Surprisingly, the story unfolds not as a clash of civilizations, immediate conflict, war of the worlds type narrative, but as a political comedy of manners and ambitions, amped up with heavy doses of hallucinogenic drugs, which lend the narrative a really unique flair. It's quite a trip. To give you a sense of what I mean, I'll share a passage from an early chapter. So the Spaniards have sat down to a lunch after being invited to dine with Montezuma's sister, some members of the imperial court, and a few of the high priests of the Aztec religion. There's a character, a young Spanish captain. His name is Jazmin Caldera. He's nauseated by the smell emanating from the priest seated next to him. After all, this priest was wearing a cloak made from dried human skin. Poor Caldera can barely eat his food that's been offered to him by the hosting Aztecs, but the Spaniards are desperate not to offend their hosts. So Enrique writes, early in the novel, Cortes took a generous swallow of soup and bellowed his delight. He smiled at Princess Atotochli, seated next to him. With a pleasant expression still on his face, but with his fists clenched on the linen cloth, his knuckles white with rage at Caldera's insubordination, he said quietly, almost in a sing-song, "Shut up and eat the soup, son of a bitch. We are the Empress's guests." Caldera smiled. "I can't," he repeated. "If only you knew what they smelled like, Hernán. This one here must have eaten mashed-up babies for breakfast." The Captain General returned his smile and, as if commenting on the sweetness of the chocolate, said, "You think you smell of roses? Shut up and eat, then vomit later all you want." Malinali, the Nahua translator, raised her eyes from her plate. In Maya, she asked Aguilar, the Spanish translator, whether they should translate what Caldera and Cortes were saying for the benefit of the princess, the nobles, and priests crowded around the table. He whispered in her ear, also in Maya, that he didn't think so. It was just conquistador chatter. Malinali spoke Nahuatl and Maya, but not Spanish, and Aguilar spoke Maya and Castilian, but not Nahuatl. The conversations between the Colhua and the people she and everybody else called the Castilteca still had to pass through a double filter. Now she felt the punch of Princess Atotochli's gaze. The princess was the emperor's sister, but also his wife, waiting for her to translate what had been said. She lifted her face, smiled, and said in Nahuatl, "They are saying how delicious everything is." The princess twitched her mouth, as if to suggest she didn't believe a word of it. The translator shrugged. In a bid for patience, she said, "They are savages, of course. They like the taste of the juice of rotting fruit they bring from their own lands, so they can't believe there is such a thing as chocolate." It's funny, it's human, it's slightly surreal. I found this book fascinating and highly recommend to anyone who enjoys historical fiction, literary fiction, or Latin American literature. Go out and pick up a copy of You Dreamed of Empires from your local bookstore today. And thanks for watching.